future of the child. And I want to say that whatever we want a child to become, we can make the child to become. Men are always out. You have heard their offices are their power ground, and we are the homemakers. Our front, our powerful place is in the home. But you know what? We are often the ones to put down our daughters and socialize the boys to talk down on them. Socialization should change if we are going to achieve anything in the 21st century as women. We got to advocate that women should learn to understand their powers in the home. We don't even know how much power we have in the home. So that should go out. Nkata should be a channel of education, a channel of advocacy for the women, and we have agreed to do that. Secondly, we have to move into school education. Our education system is not helping the girl child also. Our education system curriculum will have to change. In social studies, we are training the children, we tell them about the family, and we tell the children that the man is the head of the family, the wife is to be submitted to the man, and the wife does not take decision, the man takes decision. This is what we have in the textbook of social studies in the school. And in my school, I have had to stand up to tell the teachers that this is wrong. We don't teach this in my school. TITSA Global School at Abuja, we tell them that the man and the woman, they are equal in the house. They have different roles, complementary roles, but not that one should be the head and must give instruction to the woman. In my school, in TITSA Global School, we teach the children that this is not the right basis of society, and they are getting it. So I think that school curriculum, we will advocate that school curriculum should change. And if curriculum is not changing, content should change in order that the girl child will be brought up to have self-confidence. The woman in the house should take charge of her house and work with a routine, maintain a routine in the house that every person will be carried along. And the boys should do the jobs the girls should do also. In my house, we share it, boys cook, go to kitchen Monday, girls will do on Tuesday, like that. So my boys know how to cook soup. My girls can cook soup too. That is what we have to do. If you have this routine, let all of them participate in every job in the family, and don't put anybody down. Build some rest period for them. Feed your family well. Good eating is important. Healthy eating in the family is your job. Make sure it happens. Make sure your family gets good rest, good sleep, drink enough water, exercise, and coordinate home properly. One thing I want to say to the women, if we will succeed, is that we should prioritize our emotional well-being. We are often attacking the men. We are often aggressive. And when you come with this aggression, some people say it's because of our socialization. That is why we come to the office aggressing on everybody. Oh no, time has passed. We have already shown that we can do whatever the men can do. We have shown that intelligence is not gender-based. So there should be no reason to be aggressive. Make your point. Do not fight. In the home, don't fight. Because if you do fight, the children will pick up wrong behavior. that negative behavior that will help them in the future. But if we parent deliberately, the children will pick up behavior that will enhance their overall self-confidence and overall sense of safety. And also they pick up some management skills that will help them manage stress in their life going forward. I like that we should be gentle. Let me tell you something. Men are big babies, if you don't know. If we are gentle in the house, if we are bringing our point without fighting, most of the time they will agree with us. But because we say, oh, they are putting us down, we come aggressing on them, we lose the battle. Please, let's not do that. This COVID time, domestic violence rose by 50%. And about 137 women were killed in their homes. And about 52 of them were African women. But if we have a different attitude to gender relationship, we will win whatever we want to win from the men. But Nkata, we must go on advocacy from now on. We must come to content of our education in the school. We must attack the content of our culture, the culture that says a woman will not buy land in some places unless she buys it in the name of her male child, the culture that harasses widows and women spearhead the maltreatment of widows. I am a widow, and women came to say they will shave my hair. Women, not men. Now I said, let them show me in the Bible. And I was ready with Deuteronomy that said, don't shave your hair for the dead. So I refused to shave my hair. Okay, it earned me some hostility from my husband's people, but I stood my ground. So this kind of hostility in our culture, we should identify the stressors and manage them, speak to them culturally, in the content of education, in our behavior in the house, socialization of our children. There should be areas we work on. Because if we do that, I'm sure that in the society, we will have more confident women rising from COVID. And in the 21st century, our daughters should have more confidence to go into all the fields they want to go to. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so very much, Dr. Sally. If I summarize that discussion, I'll be talking about raising confident women. And that's such an insightful deliberation that you brought to the table. Women, first of all, are the stronghold of the homes. Women have a lot of role to play even in fortifying their homes. Fantastic information around how to raise the girl child. Raise the girl child the way you raise the boy child. Do not give privileges that are better to the boys and relegate the girls to the background. You also shared with us about women prioritizing their well-being and their emotions, because women have to be balanced themselves emotionally and, of course, physiologically to even be able to get ahead of the issues and challenges that face them, to be successful in politics, to be successful in their businesses, to be successful in corporations. One other thing that you have told us is women should embrace gentility and be less aggressive. More action, less aggression. More strategy, less aggression. But what's most instructive about that is collaboration and advocacy, even with the menfolk, as we fight the cause around gender parity, gender equality, and female advancement. Thank you very much for that insight. I'd like to bring up another speaker to us, Mrs. Nkechi Ali Balogu. Mrs. Ali Balogu would like to have you at this time, and we would thank you very much. It's an honor to have you at this session today. And we know you bring significant experiences with regards to shaping minds and shaping women. there can't be a better time to bring you onto this discussion that is just going to be riding right on top of raising confident women. And I would like to ask you, so you can share with us, how should women be able to achieve competitiveness? There is a lot of emotions that come to men when we speak about gender equality. And first of all, people think that women are simply begging to be recognized in their roles and in their homes, but we know that it's far more than that. So from where you stand and from all of the things that you are doing, what should women do on their own to equip themselves and fuel themselves to, in the first place, be counted as qualified? Because that's also very important. How can women keep ahead? How can women keep competitive? And how can women be counted as qualified? You're muted, ma'am.
Okay, sorry. Thank you very much. I'm particularly honored to be here. I want to thank each and everyone who has been involved in putting this together. I want to thank the president. I want to thank the keynote speaker and all the other speakers who have come ahead of me. Yes, how can we raise confident women who can, be at par with the men? Two things I took from the keynote speak. One is that the men are facing threats, but I think one of the greatest threats on ground today is not having a critical mass of women who can stand confidently, who can stand boldly, who can stand courageously to take up the mantle of governance, to take up the mantle of leadership. And then she also said that the warrior, the emperor, is naked or almost naked. But the question is, does the queen, does the matriarch have the wrapper to cover that nakedness? The issue is, I listened to all the speakers, to Honorable Nena, to Dr. Sally, and to the keynote speaker. One thing resonates: mentorship. There is need for us to mentor our women. If the woman at the top does not look down to see if there is a sister downstairs, if there is a sister on the floor, to raise up the sister, gender parity will become like a dream. We have had lots of women who have been in very high positions. We have had women who have been in politics. We have had, you name them. How many women have they brought up? How many women have they mentored? I want to tackle this in different areas: marriage, politics, lifestyle, entrepreneurial skills. How many women are we mentoring? Mentoring the female, the girl child, helps her to realize that she's a change agent. We are all change agents. But then the thing is that a lot of women don't have the courage. They are afraid. Until we're able to mentor our girls in the way they speak, in the way they live, in them, even in marriage, all right? Dr. Sally was saying that they don't teach women, they don't teach in her school that men is all in all. No, a man is not all in all. But because we have not been able to mentor our children, our girls, in the right way, we go through problems. We don't let the always coming to know that, hey, you are going to go through this problem, but this is how it has to be sorted out, okay? A man is the head. We are not challenging that. The man is the head. But the man is the head does not mean that the woman does not have a right. Does not mean that the woman cannot make decisions. Does not mean that the woman cannot have a life, a career of her own. But then the woman or the girl child will only know this through mentoring. We are passionate about helping women grow and achieve their full lifestyle potential. Our fulfillment will come from seeing women reach their highest heights and live their best lives. One of the best ways to help a woman is to empower her. It is important for us, for women to be confident in their skills and abilities. Okay, a lot of women are afraid to go into politics. The reason being that they've been told so many ugly stories about politics. Now, those women in politics, have they been able to groom younger women to let them know, hey, it is not as you think. This is how to navigate. This is the way to go. So we need advocacy. We need mentorship. All right? Having a mentor provides a gateway to increase confidence through improved skills and developed leadership competencies. As the women gain confidence, women are likely to own their career development paths. So we need to bring these women, raise a critical mass of women who know their rights, a critical mass of women who know that she's somebody to be reckoned with. Give them values. For instance, we are talking about the Igbo woman or the Igbo society. The Igbo society, our values were on 4 areas: honesty, truth, hard work, justice, character. In raising these women, we instill in them these values so that whatever they do, they manifest these values in every area, in their marriage, in their lifestyle. How do you like it when you see a girl dancing on the video, tweaking her bum bum, and we all clap? Meanwhile, the person is tweaking his bum bum for is well dressed. The man using her to do a dance is well dressed, but she is naked, and she's living a home where there is a woman, where there is a father, and she's living a home where there are neighbors, and she's living a home where there are friends, and nobody says anything. So we need to raise a tribe of women who are mentors and a tribe of women who are proteges, so that we can instill in them some of these values. And there are many ways we can do this. Some people will ask, how are we going to do it? Many ways. Take a child around you and mentor. There is no, by the time you leave, you are successful and everything. You didn't hand down to anybody. We have been celebrating Okonjo-Iweala. Do, please, with all respect. How many people, for instance, has Okonjo-Iweala raised to say, okay, who will take over what I am doing? We see Oprah Winfrey come all the way from America to build something in South Africa, raising young girls. How many of us have done that? We need to strengthen the connections among women. We need to embrace mentoring moments, offer insights or support that may provide a needed boost of confidence and assurance. We need to negotiate communally by acknowledging that each personal success is a collective success. We should stop saying, oh, I did this, I did that. Let it be a collective effort. Let it be a win-win for each and every one of us. We must encourage positive feelings about negotiation and a strong sense of self-worth. For if the woman does not have a self-worth, how can she come out? If, yes, she has mentored a lot of people in STEM, I know, but she could do more. I'm not trying to talk down Okonjo-Iweala. I just use that as an example. But even in STEM, you notice that a lot of women are not in STEM. How many? There's a challenge there. There's a challenge in STEM, science, technology, engineering, and maths. How many girls are there? So the girls also need mentorship. We need to teach our young women and girls to be able to say yes and stand with their yes, and no and stand with their no, to build capacity to be able to own their yeses and their no's. They should not be swayed by any little thing. I get insulted when, even when you go to buy fuel, you see the vendor will bring you a gossip magazine, but we take a newspaper to the man beside you. Why? Because we have created an image, a reputation that tells the whole world that we are not for serious things. It is time for us to change it. It is time for us to raise our voices and bring women together and let them know that, hey, without us, the world will not move. Oh, yes. Without us, the world will not. We are the drivers of the world. We are the ones that God has handed the key. He says we are helpers. What are we helping if we cannot ourselves help ourselves? The woman is the helper. The woman has the key. The woman has the strength. The woman is the womb man. He has all the potentials. Everything he needs to survive, everything the world needs to survive is in the womb of the woman. So it is time for us to mentor them and let them deliver all this power that God has given them. And I'll be rounding up by saying that we need to teach our women, help them to grow, espouse the belief that women empower other women in a way that no one and nothing else can. Create inspiration through matters such as professional goals, career advancement, educational endeavors, increased and improved academic, career and lifetime achievements, empowerment, entrepreneurial competency, and increased sense of self. And if we do this, we'll be on our way to gender parity. I will be on our way to breaking those ceilings. I know women are already breaking the ceilings, but we need to shatter it because we have the potentials to do so. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so very much, Mrs. Nkechi Ali Balogun, for ever so often bringing knowledge to the table. And what are the few things that we learned from you today? Not so few, so many, just in nuggets. One is that in keeping women ahead, mentorship is a very critical instrument. Let's develop more women to be their best and live their best lives. Let's mold and shape women to empower them to discover their potentials. Let's not continue with the inhibition. Some women want to go into politics and people say to them, it's not a game for women. That's not right. Some women want to go into other ventures and say it's not a tough for women. Let's mold and shape women to have the confidence to shatter ceilings as many as they want to. You also said we should empower women to drive their dreams and ideas to the maximum. You also taught us to drive confidence to be able to achieve whatever it is we want to achieve. And extremely instructive is you're reminding us of those values that make the Igbo system very thick: honesty, integrity, justice, and character. And so let's mold and shape women around those values because they are world-class values that are sustainable and long-lasting and enduring. One of the most critical today is that we should strengthen and support women even amongst ourselves. We should make personal success out of each individual's success and make every success the collective success for women so that other women can be inspired, so that other women can draw from it, so that other women can grow. Thank you very much for that brilliant delivery. And when I come back to you as your final word, I would like you to please speak to us about sponsorship as well. You've talked passionately about mentorship, but sponsorship is as critical. Please prepare to give us insight as how we can leverage sponsorship as well to get ahead beyond mentorship when we come back to you. And thank you very much once again, Mrs. Ali Balogun. For now, we would also like to invite another very distinguished speaker today. We'd like to invite Dr. Selin. Dr. Selin, if you are there, please speak to us on the role of advocacy. Women can do it alone. 35% affirmation cannot happen just because we want it to happen. Dr. Selina Ugwoke Adibwa would like to hear from you around the role of advocacy. How can women get ahead leveraging advocacy to get where we should be, where we'd like to be, and where we desire to be? And while we are waiting for Dr. Selina to come up, coming back to you again, our dear Honorable Nena, in a minute. Thank you, Dr. Selina. Nice to have you today. Keep it short, keep it explosive. 2 minutes of your time. Tell us what advocacy would do to make us achieve these goals.
Thank you very much. I'm very happy to be here, and I'm glad you invited me. I thank the DG and all the other speakers. I have learned a lot from what they have said. In fact, we are all talking about the same thing. It is nice to be here. and so many people here with experience. I thank you very much for what you have been able to do. I like said, my topic is activism and advocacy as powerful liberation process for women towards political inclusiveness. What we are here is for us to be included in political terrain, because we believe that women in politics will definitely augur well for the nation. It will do well for the society, because we have the quality. Women are known to be honest, gentle, selfless, and they are as the cradle, people who rock the cradle. We are really meant to rule the world. And by ruling the world, we must get into politics. There is politics in the home, all right? And I agree that we should start from there, because we rock the cradle, we bring up the children, and thank God, most of us here in this panel and the women I can see here, we are not brought up like the way our mothers were brought up. We were almost all brought up to think like a human being, to think like a person, not to think just like a woman. That's why
I'm sorry to interrupt you, Dr. Sally. I'm very sorry to interrupt you. Because I'd like us to mute our mics if we are not speaking at the moment, so that we can stop the interferences that is distracting us from her brilliant delivery. Thank you very much, Dr. Sally. You've got another 1 minute and a half, so if you can tell us about this advocacy thing, we're very eager and curious to hear how we can leverage advocacy to advance the cause of women and gender equity.
The problem with women in politics, as we have said, is based on culture and traditional practices against women, which starts from the cradle. We are happy to know that many other NGOs and other groups are working to reduce the harmful traditional practices against women, most of which tend to wear women down and give them low self-esteem. I talk about genital mutilation, I talk about early marriage, I talk about widowhood practices, and I talk about lack of inheritance, which are being addressed. Education is one of them too, and lack of entrepreneurship is another one for them to make money. So this group, we need mentoring for anybody who is a woman and wants to be part of a political group or do well in politics, because the society is already against us, or the how we were brought up is already telling on us. That's why we cannot do well. To start with, in the wards and in the local government area, political parties are vibrant there. How many women are there to work for women? When you think that political parties, they will bring women to the fore, it will need us to infuse so many women inside that political party. But we find that many women cannot go because of the setback they have. So we need mentorship and activism for them to understand, to be pushed up into the mainstream of political arena. And for us to wait for men or the political power to give us space, we have waited for so long. We are still waiting. We are doing better than we did before. Sometimes we go up, sometimes we go backwards. But it is for us to take up the fight. And we must have a fight to snatch political power from the people who hold it. If we had 5% of elected people and we want to get to 10%, we must fight to get it. And then it needs people to help us, those who are interested, those who are capable, those who show the ability of doing politics, of knowing what the women want, of coming to the table with the men. We, the group, like this group now, you can help these people by mentoring them, giving them support, either moral support and even financial support to go on that we are behind them. Because many women, when they want to run for any political post, or they want to look back and say, who is behind me? It's not like they say women don't like each other. No, I don't agree with it. Because if you come to the political arena, you will see that most women who come to vote, they were brought there by other men in buses and buses and buses, and they came to vote. Like we had the experience of Pauline Tallinn when she was running for presidency. They said, where are the women who were there? They didn't vote for her. This is because the men themselves bring those women who come to vote, and they are loyal to those people who bring them. So it is for us to offer them this advocacy and to offer them with the activists, to offer them advocacy to be able to push whoever we want to go for a post to join them. I believe that there is no way we can wait for the men or whoever holds power to give it to us. It is for us to fight and to wrestle power from them. But how do we fight? You said sometimes it is subtle. We don't have to challenge the men. We don't have to insult the men. We have to use tactics that are, well, women are subtle in that. We have to use certain tactics to wrestle power, to agree, because we cannot do it alone. Men will also be needed to assist the women do this job. And that is why it is good for us to appeal to the men. And if you ask me, in the family, most men now know they no longer think that the women are inferior, especially their daughters and their mothers. Maybe their wives, they can say they're inferior. But for their daughters and their wives, they are great women. They are intelligent. They can do politics. They are not wayward. If you put them in a political meeting in midnight, you will be sure of them because they are their daughters and their mothers. It's only their wives that they are skeptical about, and we thank God for this. My fellow women, I thank you very much for giving me time to speak with you. There are too many experiences I had. I've run for governor in this state, Enugu State, even though I didn't go far, but my experiences were spread to, well, I went to so many other meetings, invited to share my experiences. So my failures will be taken, will be learned and others will improve on it. Thank you very much. I'm very happy
Thank you.
to be here.
Thank you so very much, Dr. Selina. Thank you for the wonderful presentation today. You've woken our consciousness around how women can leverage activism and advocacy to push the gender equality. You've also told us that women must also help other women to get ahead. You've also expanded on the fact that men would not relinquish power to women without a struggle. But you've said we must make that struggle be subtle and impactful, deliberate and strategic, so that women can get all that they want quietly and take the lead. And women can't do it all. So in summary, is the fact that women must partner and collaborate with the opposite gender to be able to achieve our plans, to be able to achieve our goals of gender parity. Thank you very much. Now, before I come back again to our speakers, I would like us to, at this point, infuse greater degree of youthfulness into these deliberations today. Let's even hear it from the young minds. Let's also take it from the young minds. I'd like to call on Ada Onyechere. Ada, if you are anywhere, I'd like your thoughts on a subject matter of deliberation as we are going on right now. And Ada, I would like you to speak to us on where the young minds are with regards to the future. I say this because over the last about 6 months ago with the EndSARS, we saw the way that the Nigerian youth took over the nation and held siege for a minimum of 10 days going on to 2 weeks. They demonstrated political might, having created a sort of impact in the entire nation, both raising awareness for all of us with regards to our rights. They also demonstrated strong economic might, raising funds and resources like no political party has been able to do without campaign, all in days, in local currencies and in foreign currencies. They also demonstrated social might, being able to provide for themselves, feed themselves, take care of themselves and one another, even as they remain in the battlefield. Ada Onyechere, if you are here, please come up on video and share your thoughts with us with regards to what the future looks like as the young people take the stage. While we are waiting for Ada to come up, and that's more instructive, seeing what females did within that. With the female coalition, we could see how the female played major role in that short but extremely impactful moment on our nation. And as we're waiting for Ada to come up, I'd like to invite back our distinguished and honorable Nena to speak to us more and share insights. On this final round, as your final word, how do we then empower women in political participation and in leadership? Making it happen. How do we empower women in political participation and leadership?
Thank you very much again. I'd like to say that it's a very tetra-headed question. How do we do that? But I read somewhere, and I don't quite recall who it was that said it, but he said 4 words: resist, insist, persist, and enlist. And I think that that just sums it all up, that we must resist the fact that we're labeled, we must resist the sociological labeling of women, of the fact that we're socialized a particular way. We must insist that we have a space at the table. We must do everything. We must understand that diversity is something, it must be a clear strategic plan to come in. We must talk about it. We must persist at what it is that we do. We must not stop. Someone just spoke about advocacy. And in advocacy, it's very interesting that, you know, every time there are conversations like this, we talk about the Aba Women riots. And we celebrate the Aba Women riots. But what we never get to talk about is that 51 women died during the Aba Women riots. And so advocacy, we have to start to shift the ground under us. We have to get comfortable talking about the uncomfortable things. We have to start engaging this gender conversation in a very uncomfortable way. Everybody has spoken about mentoring, raising girl children who are strong, but also we must also be prepared for the conversation around parity through meritocracy. Two very iconic figures said something. JFK, the former president of the United States, he said learning and leadership are indispensable to one another. And then, of course, what that means is that because there's a pipeline of women, very articulate, very educated women, but the truth of the matter is that if 2,971 women ran in the last elections and only 62 were elected, it means that the more women we have who make them an offer they can't refuse, who come to the table seeking leadership with education, with merit, and we're seeking parity through meritocracy, it's an easier walk. Another very iconic figure said, Nelson Mandela said, education is the most powerful weapon which we can use to change the world. So I believe that there's so many women who are just so good at what it is that they do. But it is very important that we recognize that there's an untapped reservoir of female talents, but we must be coming to the table with more than just the way our chromosomes are arranged, because people are going to, you have to work twice as hard to be thought of as half as good. So for me, like I said, I can't reiterate it strongly enough. We must resist the fact that we're going to be stereotyped. We must insist that we have a place at the table. We must persist in advocacy. We must persist. We must understand it's going to be a difficult walk. We must be prepared to bring everything to the table. We must be nice, as they said, as the speakers before me have said. We must look at what it is that they have done. We must use technological advancement. The whole world is changing. We've looked, like you mentioned, the NSAS. We've looked at the Me Too movement. We've looked at, we've seen the entire world take advantage of technology in a way that was never available to the rest of the world, and women must enlist. We must wake up, show up, and get prepared to run in elections. It is tough, it's brutal, but I tell you what, the law of probabilities, the more women there is out there, the more of us that will come out of this very difficult terrain that is called politics in Nigeria. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you so very much, Elena. You know that you've given us an excellent acronym for success. And this sums up every single thing you've spoken about today. And that acronym is RIPE. Resist, insist, persist, and list. And that's a fantastic one. And that's a major one that we're taking away from today. And I'm sure that there's no person today who would forget that we are RIPE. And we need to resist stereotypes, insist on building our own space at the table, persist on fighting the war until it's won, and enlist by waking up, showing up, dressing up, and taking it as we want it. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
While we await Ada, thank you. While we await Ada Onyechiri to give us her perspective about the future and the role that the young people play in shaping and reshaping that future, I'd like to bring back Nkechi Ali Balogun. Mrs. Nkechi Ali Balogun, please speak to us on sponsorship like you owe us. Would love to hear that excellent one on sponsorship. We've talked so much, but how can women get other women up there? Mrs. Ali Balogun, please, how do women go get other women up there? And while we're waiting for her to come back on, we are going to be going around questions and answers in a few minutes. We've got a great number of questions. People are dying to hear the panelists take some of their questions, and I would simply distribute the questions based on the way that they have come. Thank you for the wonderful deliberations and engagement. And Mrs. Ali Balogun, do we have you to speak to us around?
I'm here.
All right, please speak to us around sponsorship, and we'll go around taking questions.
Thank you. Thank you.
And Ada, I see that Ada is here also. So Ada, we're coming right to you as soon as we are done with sponsorship with Mrs. Ali Balogun. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Nena. I have also taken that acronym, and I strongly believe that women are ripe. We are ripe to take up this our rightful places. Well, no doubt a lack of sponsorship is keeping women from advancing into leadership. Sponsorship is so vital. I mean, it's a stepping stone to leadership and development. Sponsorship is critical for women to rise to executive roles. We must understand what it takes to groom leaders. You know, sponsorship, if you notice, there are very few women in the C-suites. The reason being that when men come in, there's even a study, 2012 by Harvard, and they said, other things being equal, more men than women had direct reports and budget responsibility of greater than $10 million. The reason being that men projects had budgets twice as big as women's and headcounts. And by the time they started, there were many, but by the middle level management level, and by the time they get to the top, they have very few women because they don't have sponsors. They don't have sponsors. We must be able to bring up women, sponsor them from the beginning. Sponsorship can be in form of money, it could be in form of funds, but it could be in form of sticking out your neck also to say, look, this one is for me. I will see to it that this person gets to the top. Too few women are reaching the top of their organizations. And I have just told you that one of the big reasons is that women are not able to have support. They don't have support, all right? We are lacking powerful sponsorship, demanding and ensuring that they get these stepping stone jobs. I remember one of the reasons I left the bank was because of a woman. Incidentally, I don't believe that women don't love women. No, we love women. Our issues are just very complex, all right? When we had a woman auditor in the bank, she didn't understand what we do in public relations. And instead of her to come asking me to get the details, she was writing reports that were not there. And at the time I explained to her, she just couldn't be bothered. Incidentally, that is why a woman would say, oh, this woman is against me. But you see, it's not like that for men. Look at when Sarah Jibril went for the presidential election. She ended up voting for herself. And women were laughing at her. When will women begin to sponsor women? Women were laughing at her, Sarah Jibril. I heard somebody say that, oh, it's the men that took the women there. Why will men be taking us there at this point in our lives? Why can't women sponsor themselves? We are so many, we have it. We have the strength, we have the stamina, we have the money, we have the education, we have the phenomenal capacity to be able to stand on our own. So the issue of sponsorship is very critical. There are many women, all the women billionaires, for instance, all of us have programs we run, but it's so difficult to have a woman to release her money to support another woman to say, hey, I'm behind you. Even in politics, how many women donors do we have? We always have the men being the one to sponsor women. And that is why we are where we are today. Sponsorship is a sacrifice. Mentorship is a sacrifice. Everything we're saying today is a sacrifice. So we have to mobilize ourselves and bring in all our resources, either funds, either talents, whatever abilities, whatever capacities we have to bring it to the table if we are really serious about this journey, if we are really ripe for this journey. It is time for us to use our substance, either in terms of finance or in terms of, talents, and sponsor one woman at least to the C-suite or to the presidency. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very, very much. And we need to be able to do it collaboratively to make it work. Women must work together. Women must recognize the need for us to pull the numbers. Women must sponsor other women. Women must look out for the younger persons. Women must look out for the people to hold on, to elevate, to put in positions. Women must not go it alone. Women must hold up the ladder for other women. And that's totally different from mentoring them. It's just about open the door for the next person to come in with you. We're better off with two women on the board table and then in the room than just one woman. Women must be deliberate and intentional about sponsoring other women to rise to the top as they rise to the top. Thank you very much, Mrs. Ali Balogun. I'd like to take us through a few questions, but before that, Ada, please come up now if you are ready. I see your hand raised, but we don't see your video. We do not see you. Ada Onyechuri, take the stage and speak for the youth. Paint the future and tomorrow for us. Would like to know what it feels like with the minds of young people. If Ada is here, please go ahead, and then we'll take questions and answers. All right, while we are waiting to take the contribution from Ada Onyechiri, would like to take a few questions. And the first question here is, how do we make these conversations actionable, especially at the grassroots? And I'd like to give these questions to our Honorable Nena Ukeje for obvious reasons. While a good number speak all the highfalutin language and grammar at the top in corporations and businesses and all of those, she has mobilized people to the grassroots level. She has the marketplace experience. Would like you, our distinguished honorable, to please share with us, how do we take these conversations and make them actionable, especially at the grassroots? Please share with us.
How long is your day, Chizo?
I was going to ask the same question.
I was just joking. You know, I tell you something. We've talked about advocacy. We've talked about showing up. We've talked about mentoring. We've talked about funding. We've talked about all the tangible things that must be done to give life or breath to these amazing conversations that we're having. But I tell you what it is, that at every point in time, that in every election, most of the women who come out to vote for me are women. Most of the people who turn up at the presidential campaigns, at the electoral campaigns are women. We're all there. Now, unfortunately for us, it's not about moving or motivating or mobilizing the women. It's about coming against the formal and informal impediments in a way that is institutionalized. Now, at the grassroots level, the average Nigerian woman will sing and dance and vote for the average Nigerian woman, and that's the fact. But then there is so much political violence, either as the candidate or as a supporter or as a voter or even as someone who's into advocacy. Now, those are impediments. Again, as I said earlier on, for us to actually get it to start to work, for us to get more women at the table, because it's not about women not wanting to run, it's about the women coming out at the end of the pipelines in governance. So at the grassroots level, I must say that women are women's greatest cheerleaders. Unfortunately, we have to change, we have to unlearn the stereotypes that are there at birth. We have to recalibrate the way that men view us, and I call men because they are the ones who are the gatekeepers of the political spaces. And we just have to view advocacy in a way that is less laid back and is more aggressive. Aggressive, not necessarily in a negative way, but who cares if it's negative? Is it going to get us more seats at the table? Absolutely. And you know, so many people have said it, a woman is like a tea bag. Once she gets into hot water, she comes out stronger. And I think that those are the things we must do. We must start to challenge violence at the elections. We must start to challenge the institutional gatekeepers whose job is to keep us out. And we must also start to challenge the women who also think, who believe that, you know, they should staunchly defend the gates that are shut in the faces of women, because we find a lot of women also defending these things. So I think that it has to be constitutional, it has to be legislative, and it has to be aggressive. I think the aggressive turn of events, the aggressive paradigm shift, the aggressive re-articulation of the average Nigerian woman's position, the memory of the Aba women riots and the fact that we have to do those things, the lessons to be learned from the EndSARS, because those girls were not docile. They came out, they held their own, they stood on the streets, they defied institution, they made their point, and the world listened. And I'm saying that if we can just do that, learn from the millennials about how it is they do it,
Okay, so it seems like we are losing.
Hello.
Hello, yes, you are back again. We can hear you now. We lost you for a split second.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we lost you for a split second, so you're back again. You were wrapping up. Go ahead, please. It seems you're muted. It seems you're on mute.
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you now. Thank you very much. Yes.
So, I said it's going to be critical learning. We have to unlearn the stereotypes. We have to look at the lessons from history, and we also have to learn the lessons from the aggressive, determined, more deliberate ways that the millennials, how they tackle advocacy. And we saw that in the NSAT. So those are the things we can do. But let me say that the grassroots is already for women. It is right for the taking. It is just the institutional benchmarks and the institutional roadblocks that we have to do everything to try to dislodge if we want to shatter the glass ceiling that I think is possible over time. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so very much. And that's loaded as usual. Would like to also take a few questions, comments, and contributions from the floor. Would like to call on Dr. Ife Nwakwesi, Nnediso, Remi, and Anita. Starting with Dr. Ife. Questions, comments, and contribution, please go ahead. We're delighted to have you here. You are muted, Dr. Ife, and you are muted. You are muted. You are muted. We can't hear you. Okay. Yes, you.
Yes, I'm fine. I'm fine now. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now. Thank you very much.
Can you hear me? Okay. Dear beautiful women, it's such a pleasure for me to be in your midst. I have been listening attentively to amazing, intelligent women. And I'm so proud, and I congratulate Iyom Josephine, my personal friend, for putting this together. Ladies, I am an integrative healthcare practitioner, and I always like to deal with issues from the root. What we do in this country is that we focus mostly on our signs and symptoms, and we're never making a progress. Ladies have been involved in multiple talks and webinars and workshops, yet we are still not getting where we want to get to. Now, what I'm trying to say is that women have got what it takes to make the impact. Women, like somebody has said, are nurturers of children. We need to begin to teach our children balanced living, so that when somebody brings money and gives to them to vote for leadership, they're not even going to accept the money. Women, we have to build energetic, healthy, principle-centered, valued families so that we can have a society that is balanced, that can do their first things first, that can do things right. Women, we need to begin to look at ourselves. Many women are dealing with all kinds of low self-esteem issues, negative energy, body dysfunctions, and they don't even have the energy and the creativity and passion to impact lives. So what I'm advocating is that, Iyom Josephine, this is for you. You've been in this game for a very, very long time. It's high time that we did a coalition, an alliance of all women networks, because in this society, women, we have the numbers. And as we're doing it, we are taking along our youths. We must show the youths that we care, help them to earn a living, and then structure an alliance that promotes inclusion of women in the politics. We must do it together collectively. We design the objectives and we strategize and plan and get it done. Enough of talk, talk, talk. I am singularly tired of talking. This is a time for action. Thank you all so much for listening to me.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ife. It's always great to hear from you. Would like to also hear from Nnediso, comments, contributions, questions around the subject and deliberations of today. And after you, Nnediso, we'll hear Remi and Anita. Thank you very much. Please go ahead. You are on mute. You are on mute, Nnediso.
I'm sorry. Good evening, everyone. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are. I come with good tidings, and I thank everyone that is here. And I've listened to everyone, and the hallmark is, how do women get into leadership? Because that is basically our problem. And the leadership we are talking about is in the legislature, because that's where the laws are. Because there are things you do and they'll tell you, oh, no, it's not constitutional and all that. So Honorable Nenda has talked about the Constitution. So something must be done to give it a legal fix for it to work. But again, I'm talking from the media angle. I am in the media and the political sector, which has very few women. And the idea is that I had talked to some editors, and they say, oh, these women, you even employ them, they will show interest. You employ them, and small time they move, they will tell you they want to go to the fashion section or to the entertainment section and all that. But again, I would want to talk to women in politics, because there are still, even though they are small, they are few, but they are still women in politics. And what do? They are the women leaders. They are the commissioners for women affairs. They are the commissioners for youth and youth empowerment. But what in actual facts do they do? That's the question. The women work for the men. I'm not for any incompetent woman getting into leadership, but again, why do the women, if you have options of a competent woman who feels the pain of women, why would you lead the vanguard of pushing for the men? That is one. Again, being in the media and having created a platform for women to speak, the roundtable conversation, which I do every Saturday, it's easier for me to get to talk to men, to talk to the younger people, than to talk to women who are in politics and in business and in the corporate world. So if we are not communicating, that's a wrong strategy. If we are not talking, if we are not, like Dr. Ife said, there must be a coalition of too many. I've watched all the International Women's Day events. There are so many, but how impactful are they? So we have to come together. We have to speak. We don't have to be media shy. We don't have to be subservient, because the women in politics are a bit subservient to the men, because probably they feel the power comes from them, but it doesn't. In a democracy, power comes from the women, from the people. And who are the women? They raise the boys who are going to vote. They are the women who are suffering. So my point is, women have to think beyond talking in rooms. We have to take the media, take advantage of the media, whether it is social media or the orthodox media. Again, the answers thing has shown us that the younger women know what it means to communicate. The coalition that they had, the arrangement that they had, beats all the post-independent politics women have been playing. They are the young people, so we have to incorporate them. But I'm telling the women, take care of the media. Take charge of the media. See the value that the men use the media for. And I think that will help us a bit. That's all I have to say. Thank you very much for listening to me.
Thank you for that wonderful contribution, Nadine Soar. There can't be a better time for women to see that we can take the reins ourselves. And thank you again for that analogy to the experiences of the NSAS and what we saw females and young people do. Not only holding down the nation, grabbing the attention of the world, funding their dreams, holding down communication, took the reign with social media where they had no power for traditional media. Thank you. Those highlights a few of the things that women must take into consideration as we consistently advance gender parity. And we would take a few more comments as we wrap up today, having held almost everybody to a rapt attention over the last 2 hours. Would like to invite Remy, if you have a comment, would like to invite Remy and Anita. Your hands are raised, otherwise please put them down. And while we are at that, I would also like to take just one more comment from Dr. Sally. Dr. Sally, the question for you we would like you to clarify is, in creating all of these actions, in charging us to action, what is the role of women in the homes? with regards to consistently fueling their younger ones, motivating them to continue. Because like we have learned from Honorable Nena today, we must persist, we must push until it opens. How do women in the family unit, in their spheres, how do women create the confidence and courage to persevere? Dr. Sally, if you are here and any of the speaker who is available, please take that for us. How do we persevere? So it's one thing to have the strategies, another to want to take action, and another to persevere. So in persisting, how do we persevere?
Can I?
Yes, please go ahead. Thank you very much, Mrs. Balu.
Yeah, I think perseverance is something that should be in our value system. You cannot give what you don't have. If we do not start from cradle to begin to teach our children how to persevere, how to say yes and stand by your yes, whatever, as they grow up, is the same thing they'll be doing. So how does a woman persist? A woman must be taught that failure is not a tattoo, it's only a bruise. And when it's a bruise, it doesn't leave scars. So there's nothing shameful when you fail. If you fail, be ready to stand up again. Be ready to continue. Be ready, get to the end. Don't quit in the middle of it, okay? So, and like I said, it has to be in our value system. A child must be brought up to know that life is not all rosy, all right? And I think that is where, I wish we talked on parenting a little. There's what I call parental failure, all right? We have brought up our children to think that life is so rosy, all right? I hear some families how, you know, you get there, this one is eating rice, that one is eating yam, that one is eating dodo, that one is, you know, fine. But we are not able to let these children know that, hey, life is not this way. And until we do that, our children don't have stamina. They can't persist. They don't have, because they've not been brought up to stand. So I feel that going forward, we must teach our children, we must instill in them that value of perseverance by letting them know that life is also like a rose. Rose is so beautiful, but it has thorns. But then you must be able to navigate in such a way that those thorns do not hurt you. And you must be able to navigate in such a way that if you have to get to the top to prune it and cut the flower on top of it, you continue, you don't give up until you get to your goal. And if you fall by the way, dust off, rub off the dust and continue your journey. The guy who were using electricity today, if I remember, he did it up to 99 times and succeeded in the 100th. So these are the things we should let our children know. We should expose them to people who have done it before, right? So that it will become their value system, to become a lifestyle, to become a habit. Even at home, there are things, give them assignments and make sure that they are doing it. Don't say, oh, Junior, hey, are you tired? Go and sleep. No, I tell my child, until you finish that, you are not going to get so and so. Let life become a reward system. Let it be a stimulus and response thing. Let there be reinforcements when our children do right, when they achieve their goals. We don't reward them when they don't make it. These are ways we can teach our children and our women to persevere. There is always light at the end of the tunnel. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Ali Balogun. Thank you for that wonderful share. Words of marble. Failure is not a tattoo. It is a mere bruise. And like we know, all bruises heal. Thank you so very much. We're just going to be wrapping up right now with only just one final question to Honorable Nena. But before that, I would like to remind our distinguished Dr. Anno Kigbo Fisher, who is the Vice President of Nkata Ndigbo, to please be on standby for the closing remarks and vote of thanks for this wonderful session. But while we are at that, I would like to just hear one thing from our distinguished honorable. Honorable, if you are there, please speak to us about failing forward. Failure is not a tattoo, it is a bruise. How can women learn to get ahead of what they perceive as not making it this time when there are many more opportunities to do greater things ahead? Failing forward. One final word from you as we wrap up the session and engagement with speakers. Final word. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Again, I believe that in going into any election, one of the critical interrogations should be, what if I lose? And that's such a very critical question. And I think that the response to what if I lose is that it gives you the opportunity to learn what the mistakes you've made, unlearn them, persevere, move forward, and win the next time. Elections are, emotions win elections, truths don't. And on the spectrum of emotions, people accuse women of being extremely emotional. I believe that it is never right the first time. Some people get lucky, but the percentage of women who get lucky the first time is almost infinitesimal. But the truth of the matter is, like she said, it's a learning curve, it's a learning process. It is one you can unlearn as well. Failure is something you can unlearn. And then once you have won, it's only the laughter we'll remember. So I think that, we just must go at it and know that eventually we will win, if only we just keep at it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so very much. It's been a very, very wonderful 120 minutes of our afternoon. And as Nkata Ndigbo brings us the International Women's Day event today, there's been so much learning going on in here. We've heard about the role of politics in advancing women equality and gender parity. We've learned a lot with regards to the place of mentorship. We've also learned the place of sponsorship. We've also learned about how to empower women in political participation and leadership. And the acronym RIPE, will never leave us after today. We've also learned about how we can leverage activism and advocacy. We've also learned how we can build strong family units to be able to achieve stability and growth that affects national growth as well as gender parity. And at this point in time, I say again, a great thank you to all of our speakers and panelists, starting all the way from our keynote speaker today. We thank you for coming. We thank you for all the wonderful contributions, our speakers, Dr. Sally, Dr. Selina. We thank you, Honorable Nena. We thank you, Mrs. Ali Balogu. We thank you, every single person who have made contributions, sent in questions, and sent in their thoughts to all of today's deliberation. And at this time, don't go anywhere unless we finish with this photograph, and then I would invite Honorable and distinguished Dr. Ann Okigbo for her vote of thanks. Dr. Okigbo, please come back on camera. And we would also like to invite our keynote speaker. We want to take advantage of the virtual world to keep a photograph of today. Our keynote speaker, our founder and president general, our vice president, Dr. Ann Okigbo, Honorable Ukeje, Mrs. Ali Balogu, please all come here, right up. We need to do just one photograph. And technology and back office and end office, please get us a good photograph so that we can keep the memory of today. Cameras on, videos on, please come on. I'm waiting to see everyone on. Please come on. So we'll do that at the count of 3. And your best smile, your best posture, and 1, 2, 3. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Keep the photo going, keep the memories, keep the smiles there. There can be another 20th of March 2021. There can be another first NNII outing. There can be another first exponential engagement. One more smile and another round of photos. Thank you. Great. you. Thank you so very much. Here's to you, Dr. Okibo Fisher, as you bring the session to a close with your closing remark and your vote of thanks. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Chizo. You've been a fantastic moderator. I don't think we could have asked for anything more. Before I do my vote of thanks, I would just like to say very briefly that there was one common theme I heard from the first speaker to the last, which was basically, how do we empower women? When I think of the various ways, whether it's to empower them economically, inclusiveness in politics, when I think of the various ways, one aspect that wasn't really highlighted were the women in the rural areas, the women in communities, the women in villages. These are the power block of any political system. These are the women that come out to vote in large numbers. These are also the women who are the repository of our culture. And I would suggest that when because like Ify had said, there's been a lot of talk, very little action. These are the women that we should target, women in the rural areas, because like I said, they're the repository of our culture. When we talk about harmful practices, it's done with the consent of women. If the women got up and said, no, we are not treating our widows like this, no to early marriage, no to FGM, the men wouldn't challenge it. I have been in situations in the village where the Umuada have come out and said, we're stopping this funeral because something wasn't done right. Women have a lot of power. They are what I call our untapped resource. And I think we should really focus and look at how we can mentor them. It encompasses everything that's been talked about this afternoon, from the home, from politics. Women are the ones that bring other women down when they want to go into politics. They will say, you can't do that. What will happen to your husband? It's only prostitutes that go out at night. We need to learn to support each other. And I think it is really going to be powerful if we can come together. And for that, I think we need a lot of education and a lot of mentoring. So on that note, let me stop and thank everybody. This has been a fantastic first inaugural outing for NIIA on the International Women's Day. We've had fantastic speakers that have left us with a lot to think about going forward. I would like to first of all thank all the panelists, which Chizo had already done, for taking the time. They're making fantastic presentations. To thank Iyom, Josephine and Nini, for providing the vessel through which we can talk, and talk freely, talk without fear of retribution. I would like to thank Chizo for very, very successful moderating of this session. Finally, we had over 90 participants at some point. I would like to thank everybody who's still there. We had both men and both women who watched us, at least from the Zoom. I'm not sure how many on the other social media platforms. So to thank them, and to thank Njenje, who has collaborated with Nkata Ndiyom to carry this to other mainstream media. So on that note, I think, Chizo, I'll hand over back to you and let you close it.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so very much, distinguished Vice President And thank you for the inspiration that you also drive and infuse into the association. It's been a wonderful day. It's been a fantastic 2.5 hours. And the comments are fantastic. We are very delighted that people feel that there is tremendous impact. We're delighted that people feel that the vision of Nkata Ndi Igbo is one that is timely. We're also very delighted that all of you tuned in to watch. We're going to be bringing you many much educative and informative programs such as this, leveraging technology to reach all parts of the world. Would also announce as they come on time so that many people would benefit. And like you know, we're a technology-driven organization and association, so you can see how we've leveraged technology to bring this. We will do more leveraging technology. Please follow us on all of our social media platforms at Nkata Ndi Igbo. It's all out there, Facebook, Instagram. We also are on LinkedIn, everywhere you would find us. Follow us on what we do and the programs that are coming up. We are everywhere and global as well. We've got members everywhere in the world, all 5 continents of the world, and we have volunteers and donors from everywhere in the world. We plan to make this change happen. We plan to make it sustainable. We plan to use this platform to bring women to the center, not just to the table and by the side, but right to the center and to the middle. Keep a date with us as we bring you many more programs. And have a wonderful rest of the day. Enjoy your evening, and we look forward to working with you again. For all of our speakers, have a wonderful evening, and we would come back again to you. And for all of our founders and visionaries and BOT, thank you for creating the platform.
Wow.
Cecilia Iria, please mute yourself as we close. You are jumping into the discussion. Thank you. Anyway, bye. And we're saying good night to everyone. Goodbye, everyone. Yes.
Bye.
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 Bye. Good night.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Innocent.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank
God. Jesus, you are flawless. Thank you very much.
From New York. Good morning. Bye. That was wonderful.
Thank you very much, Honorable.
Thank you, Honorable.
Thank you.
Jesus.
You are flawless.
Yes, you are the best.
Thank you.
That was wonderful. That was good.
Thank you. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you. Bye, Iyom.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Honorable
Good job, everybody.
Honorable
everyone.
Okay.
Congratulations, Iyom. Congrats.
Well done. Well
Thank
done.
you.
Well done.
Congrats.
Thank
you. Thank you.
Thank you. God, you. Bless you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Iyom, bye. Bye, Honorable. Bye. Okay.